Or, I mean, if you want to go back to the aliens with the even more of a fringe idea, the hollow moon theory. Have you heard of the hollow moon theory?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's I guess majority of old texts and old writing, none of them even talk about the moon. No one even knows about the moon. And then they have a ton of writing in Sumerian in different times where they have a period of where all of a sudden they talk about the moon now. Like all of a sudden the moon's now. Like they're like, oh, the moon's here. And so, you hear this narrative that it was a large, rock ripped through the side of our planet and kind of created a fucking ring, and then over time it created a fucking another little ball. But
that's what common theory is, yeah.
The moon is it is the most jaw-dropping moon in the solar system. It doesn't line up with any other moons. It's closer than any other moon. It's in the most perfect orbit out of any other moon. It's the way that the craters and everything are on it. They're the shallowest of any craters I've ever seen. It's that's where the idea of a titanium thing, and a number of technologies and things that had spiked in writings and technology and stuff in the ancient history all come from that period of when they talk about the new moon. And so there's a bunch of people that had talked about there being a different part of the backside of the moon where that's how you travel to and from and stuff. And so
I think the moon is like a Stargate.
Kind of, yes.
Teleport
for the inside, because there's weird stuff where
But we've seen the backside of the moon.
That's what that's what they say though. We've seen it, but what do we see? You're even talking about with the Google Earth. You see it, but you get a huge chunk that's blacked out. You have all these areas where they've supposedly landed, and now they're sending drones to mine complete opposite sides of the area where they've never been to get areas and things supposedly that they know is there. It's random, and then you hear people like Alex Jones or
gay frogs.
Yeah, what's that fucking whistleblower thing with all these conspiracy dudes where they all have heard especially with China and stuff. They're well, no, we went to the moon way before you fuckers did. And, we've been on the moon now. We're still on the moon now. And so,
Who, China?
Yeah, China. China.
Dude, fuck that Chinese, dude.
Apparently, China was on the moon before.
Ni hao piao long. Wani.
I could see that.
Then, how long do you, because it sucks because you can go down these roads and you hear all these different type of things, but when we just stare up at the moon, it's if it were to or were not to, how the fuck would you know? Yeah.
But how has it got the most perfect orbit other than any other moon?
It's completely in a circle. Most of them have formed some form of an oblong. So ours is kind of oblong, but it's still perfectly spheric. So a lot of them were kind of formed like an oblong where it kind of whips it, because that's what makes it in orbit, is it kind of is falling towards the planet. So it's boom, boom. Or opposite, maybe if it's falling away from it, kind of launching it, boom, boom. The moon's set, like a satellite, more so than a moon.
How many other moons are tidally locked?
I don't know. I didn't
7.
get that far into it. This is on a fringe thing that I'd seen, which it's cool. And
on a fringe thing, where?
YouTube. But when
you went down the rabbit hole?
You get going down the rabbit hole, and you see, and then they post the documents, and they're you can look at the documents yourself, and then they highlight them, and then you look at them, and then you see them. And unfortunate, the way that any government thing is worded, I feel up for interpretation. Mm-hmm. It's the way that when you hear, I can neither confirm nor deny this statement. It's the most perfect government wording for getting out of any answer.
Tom Hanks, Marilyn Manson, Finding Nemo. These are all things you could find in the Lost Minds podcast. You just listen to a short snippet. Listen to the rest of it. Come on now. Let's all join hands.
Go on, like, comment, subscribe.
All right, I'd fuck Nemo. I'd kill Tom Hanks. And I would marry